One day, while driving down a major highway, I noticed something strange. A storm began out of absolutely nowhere, a blizzard. Everything had been visible just moments before, but soon I couldn't see a thing on the road. The visibility dropped to near zero. Not knowing what to do, I spotted a hotel sign on the side of the road and decided to head that way, turning off the main path. At the last minute, I realized there was no hotel there. It was just a sign indicating that a roadside inn was another 2 kilometers away. I saw a light flickering in the distance. It wasn't steady. I started searching for information about this hotel online, but I couldn't find anything. Only one thing was clear. This hotel didn't seem to exist on any map. If I stayed in my car, I would surely freeze in this cold. So even though it felt dark and eerie, I headed toward that light. I began walking against the gale. The storm was so fierce that I felt as if I had stepped into another world, as if the world itself didn't want me there. It was terrifying. After walking for a while, I saw a sign under the flickering light that read, "Night Rest Hotel," and I realized it really was an inn. However, there were no cars around. The parking area was completely buried under snow. Just then, a massive drift of snow slammed into my car with great force, and at that moment, I felt a deep sense of dread. Inside, it felt somewhat warm and welcoming. The lights were yellow, looking as if they hadn't been changed in ages. Behind an old desk, I encountered an old woman. Even though she noticed me enter, she didn't move at all. She didn't even lift her head. She just continued her knitting. I watched her for a moment and then asked, "I need a room for one night." She stopped knitting. She raised her head, looked at me and said nothing. She simply picked up a key sitting in the middle of the desk and handed it to me. The key was rusted and extremely old. It felt a bit strange. When I asked about the price, she pointed her finger at a sign. It read, $10 for one night. I thought to myself that with a blizzard outside, $10 was incredibly cheap. I didn't say another word. I just paid, took the key, and went up to the second floor. Behind every door, it felt as if someone was watching me. Though I was scared, I composed myself and entered my room. The room was as bad as I expected. The paint was peeling everywhere, and a yellow liquid, resembling some kind of infection, was dripping from the ceiling. I told myself, "It's just for one night, stay calm." I left my bag by the wall, took off my shoes, and just lay down. I fell asleep quickly, but in the middle of the night I woke up. I could hear many noises outside, the sound of footsteps and people whispering. There were about 3 or 4 of them. I tried to get up as quietly as possible, and I think I succeeded. Holding my breath, I looked through the peephole, but there was no one outside. I opened the door and looked around. Nothing, just nothing. Everything seemed normal. But then I noticed a shadow at the end of the hallway. I didn't stop to think. I quickly ducked back into my room, closed the door, and leaned my shoulder against it, waiting. Then came the sound of knocking. 3 simple knocks, followed by more whispering. This happened over and over. I kept hoping to find a way to escape, but my body wouldn't move. It happened many times. Knocking, whispering, and then silence. Knocking, whispering, and silence. Somehow I fell back asleep and woke up in the morning. When I looked around, there were footprints and clothes scattered everywhere. On top of my blanket, there was a footprint on the left side and another on the right. It meant that someone had been standing over me, watching me throughout the night. I didn't overthink it, and I didn't stay to check on the old woman behind the desk. I grabbed whatever I could reach, jumped in my car, and just drove away. The roads were muddy, and the hotel behind me looked as if it had never existed at all. Was the old woman a thief, or was it that shadow? I think it meant only one thing. I am simply lucky because I made it out alive.